BitShares is a world-class blockchain like Bitcoin with a digital currency platform boasting enterprise-level scalability and throughput with separations of power and self-governance baked in. Need the power of a blockchain with the stability of a dollar? We invented it and tested it for 3 years. Want to make a loyalty token, coupon, or shares in your business? We have you covered. Wish to add world-class development? This tech can fund your work. Whether for an everyday entrepreneur or computer-savvy code guru, BitShares provides tools to empower a world of unapologetic innovators to wield and share value with a level of freedom once thought impossible. Meet a community of such innovators every Friday at 2 p.m. UTC, led by Chris Herring and Fuzzy, to play a role in the evolution and advancement of this state-of-the-art project. Welcome to the BitShares revolution. You just leveled up. Welcome everyone to another Beyond Bitcoin BitShares Hangout. Today is Friday, June 16th, 2017, and it is episode 25. So we have been here as a community covering the BitShares ecosystem since its inception. We have watched the good times, the bad times, the hard times, and some of the most triumphant times. And we have connected with other brilliant minds in the space who are interested in this technology that we call blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies. And we've kind of followed and tracked all of this because BitShares is meant to be a decentralized exchange. After Mt. Gox, Dan Larimer, after Mt. Gox helped to facilitate the loss of many people's Bitcoin, Dan Larimer said we need a decentralized exchange. One that cannot be attacked, one that can scale, one that is not constrained by the current problems in self-governance, scalability, and value proposition that other cryptocurrencies in the space have struggled with. So for 4 years, we've struggled and we've finally made it to the place where people are starting to realize this is the only decentralized exchange that scales, and that it has separations of power, that it has all these beautiful things, and it also it scales in ways that no other cryptocurrencies can, based on the graphene technology that underlies it. So with that said, we join up every week with people who are interested in covering current events, who are interested in asking questions about what is going on in the ecosystem, and maybe covering a little bit of the history as well. And we're even interested in focusing on worker proposals, changes to BitShares itself through what is called BSIPs. So with all this said, I want to say thank you to everybody who joins every week and has been part of this archiving of our history. And we are starting to really see some amazing things coming from the BitShares ecosystem and a lot of recognition from the rest of the ecosystem, the crypto ecosystem, of things that we thought sometimes that we were the only ones who would ever know about it. It's starting to leak through. So congratulations to everybody here who is part of the BitShares ecosystem and brought us to where we are today. Now, with that said, we meet every Friday at this time, which is 2 p.m. UTC, and we will run about an hour, and we have a thread every Thursday where you can post any topic that you would like to have covered at the BitShares Hangout. So please feel free to go onto steemit.com and look for @officialfuzzy, where you can always find the posts, and then you can participate and get paid from there. Don't forget to have a BitShares account. Now, with that said, today we're going to start out with CM Steem is going to be talking a little bit about what's going on with his BitShares roadmap and BSIPs proposal. I think this is probably the most important thing for us to get covered quickly and to come to some form of consensus on. So do you mind, CM Steem, talking a little bit about your thoughts on this? This is a great post entry.
Hey, yeah, so I had a look at the current BitShares roadmap that's on the BitShares.org website, and the last update was like our next feature will be released in like February 2016, and I think that's the point where we kind of hit a wall where we stagnated in like deciding, okay, what should we fund with like, our reserve pool, because, I think there was a bit of backlash of, the merger and stuff. But yeah, it'd be cool if we came together and kind of put together like a future roadmap that we can all agree on, and like, but with regards to that, in order to do, to have a roadmap, we need to, start considering funding BitShares improvement protocols. That's called a BSIP. So from that point onwards, and worker proposals. So we've got this massive reserve pool of funds to potentially fund development. It's quite literally in the hundreds of millions of dollars range. It's insane, right?
Yep.
Some may argue that users who fear BitShares dilution, funds coming from the reserve pool into circulation, will reject all worker proposals. However, I believe this was only the case a couple years ago for like Bytemaster, for reasons. Given how less BitShares will be distributed due to the higher market cap, I don't think this will be as serious a concern anymore. Someone that's doing some maintenance won't get paid crazy amounts of BTS because, it's gone up. So I feel like there were two things blocking the creation of worker proposals, right? So initially I had the point of you're unable to create worker proposals via the GUI, yeah? That's currently the case. However, I raised an issue within the BitShares UI GitHub repo, and SVK has already the feature and it's soon to be released. So that's an awesome development. That's news, and if once this is released, I think we will see a lot more attempts of worker proposals where people may have been put off by having to go through the CLI before. So thanks SVK for that. Another thing I was thinking was that having to create a worker proposal to request funds to potentially develop features for the BitShares might be a roadblock in the first place. So, having to request payments can be quite a daunting task, putting users off, especially if they're in the outer, if they're not already like core within BitShares, they may be feared to do it, So if we were able to create like bounty proposals to advertise the need and support of a potential BitShares improvement proposal, we'll potentially, successfully recruit developers rather than hoping that someone will come forwards with an idea and, request payment at the same time. I mean, if you've got a job, you're advertising, you put up an advert and see how much you're willing to pay rather than waiting for someone to come to you asking if you need something done and, them seeing how much they need to pay. It's kind of backwards. So I think if we do start putting up these bounty proposals, perhaps backed by like the committee, we'll see, a lot of these BSIPs that have become stagnant developed,
I think it's a great initiative, and I'm willing to back it with whatever resources I have, which are somewhat substantial these days, thank God. If you're interested in that, please let me know. But does anybody have any thoughts on what CM Steam is bringing up, what Custom Miner is bringing up?
This is Stan. I guess I would say that, with some of the promotional activities that we're planning, there are going to be a whole lot of fresh blood coming in that is more likely to be in favor of funding development, especially if that particular promotional campaign trains them. And of course, the very nature of the Billion Hero Challenge is there'll be 12 new leaders out there that will be getting a proxy role out of the contest. So, it's a good time to be doing what you're doing of advocating that. Because all those new people are going to either come down on the minimalist view of let's not spend any money because it might dilute, or the maximum view is we're going to grow by a factor of 1,000. Come on, let's spend some money and get this system built out. So I think it's a perfect time to be reconsidering this.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's a good point, Stan. Any other people have any points to bring up regarding this topic?
I'm wondering whether or not there's going to be enough developers in the community to do so. I mean, there's such a boom in crypto right now that developers have it's a buyer's market for the developers in terms of where they want to put their time. So it'll be. I'm curious to see whether or not there'll be enough adequate developers to come in, and I think there will be. Frankly, I'm very optimistic that it will be attractive. I mean, we've had huge gains recently, so we're a project that's in the growth phase, and I think the marketing push that you're doing, Stan, is going to accelerate that. So let's hope that brings in some high quality developers, and that we can get them up to speed quickly. That's another, is getting developers up to speed quickly with BitShares technology is not the easiest thing to do because of our lack of documentation. So I'd like to see a lot of development take place and documentation to go along with it.
What do you guys think about the idea of using some of this funding to pay developers who have projects that they would like to build, that they would like to be part owners of, and that they would have their own tokens? It seems to me that we have this exchange, but it is so much more, right? We know that you can make your own tokens, whether they're a UIA, which is a user-issued asset, just kind of an IOU, a bit asset, which is something that's pegged to the value of another object or item. And then we have even things like fee-based assets, right, where it's a service, and the services fees that are charged and earned are used to either buy back or distribute back to the people who have these tokens. So we have many different types of tools that people can use. The question is, what would happen if BitShares, instead of paying worker proposals all the time, what if we actually had competitions for the coolest projects and the coolest coin with business models, and gave out money for that, or and paid them for that to be part owner in it? And I see BitShares in a position to potentially own tokens in its own network, and kind of gain extra value by holding a portfolio of its community's own projects. Oh, I see. Fox is saying it's best to add value to the core. Do you mean like core development? So at present, you feel like, he says yes here. So at present, you feel like the core development needs to be fixed before we start looking at that.
I have a comment.
Sure, I'm just waiting to see if Fox said yes or no, because he's a little bit more, like, he's deep into the tech.
Up your volume and tell a guy it's really low.
Fox says, I feel we may diverge into picking winners and losers. It would, yeah, that is possible. That is possible.
Cool. I've got a couple other things to say about SIPs if I can.
Of course.
Yeah. So.
Oh, hold on a second.
Cool.
Okay.
Right. So a couple other quick things to say about BSIPs. So I feel like after we have a good idea, we hold a big discussion of potential features. We should make a habit of trying to write up a B, even just a draft one, just to get action going on new features. Case in point, I still need to write up a BSIP for the potential feature of like earning interest or dividends on bit assets. Like we had this big discussion about it like in April. The forum post got like 3,000 views, 9 pages, and I didn't actually get around to writing a BSIP, so I think we're guilty of we discuss a really good idea, then nothing happens, and 5 months later we have the same discussion and someone says, oh, we keep discussing this, it'll never happen. It's like, no, we need to take action.
Yeah.
And
we need somebody with initiative that actually can do that. So any of us can write a BSIP. I mean, it does take a lot of thought. That's the problem, is when you have these monstrously big discussions like that, to distill the high points and put them in a BSIP takes some effort. And the people just aren't willing to do that. That's what I see is going on.
Well, at this point, too, I hate to barge in like this, but it makes no sense that with the tools that we have now. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you guys. The people who legitimately try to help and help with what we do and Beyond Bitcoin and stuff like that, those who post and I upvote and I talk about, and who make themselves visible, they become very big earners on Steam. So there's really, in my mind, there's no excuse for people nowadays to not have an incentive to post this stuff, because we could post this stuff and quite literally, probably just with the people in this room, upvote it to $100 and some bucks, right? So I don't think that this should be something that nobody wants to do. You know what I mean? Like I'll gladly do it if nobody wants to do it, but I can only take it so far before I have to start paying other people to help. But I would love to pay people to help.
I just wanted to make a quick comment about, like, I understand that there's always going to be development. For instance, as they come out with newer versions of operating systems, we're going to have to adjust the BitShares light kind of stuff. I think a lot of people don't understand how big BitShares actually is if you run the BitShares daemon and the command list that's available. Not all of it is available through a light, and the amount of features that are available are mind
Insane.
And one of the things that's confusing is people in the crypto space are so used to people developing coins and going, where's the roadmap? And this is not a shot against what we're talking about, because it is important to have a roadmap. But they're like, where's the roadmap? What's the next feature? What's the next big boom? So then when it comes out, my coin value goes up, right? And so everybody's so worried about development. BitShares has been in such a huge, quick development that it's practically built. Like, you can use it for business use right now. And that confuses a lot of people, because when they're looking up for a coin to invest in, they're not used to having things built that are ready for use.
Yeah.
So this is a weird time for me when people keep hounding about what development BitShares is going to have, when I'm like more worried about, let's see the business cases we could be putting into it now, because you can legitimately use it right now. So I just wanted to make that comment.
It's a brilliant
That's a good point.
We can always do both, we don't have to focus solely on the current use and not on BSIPs. We could have different teams working on different things at the same time. Just to go back to your previous point, Fuzzy, you were talking about the worker proposals, funding external projects. I think that would be, appropriate on like an individual basis. If they were to perform a share drop, of their token in return for BTS, against BTS holders, I think that'd be appropriate.
I kind of look at it like this. They approach the BTS community. They say, I have this token, I have this use case, I want to develop it, or better yet, I have developed it, and all I'm wanting to do is give you guys some of my tokens, or share drop tokens onto BitShares holders, in return for X amount of funding. Now everybody in BitShares is a holder of this token based on how many tokens they hold, maybe, or maybe just on an account basis, depending on what the agreement is. And everybody's a little bit more diversified into the ecosystem. These are the types of things that I think, if people get free tokens like this, a lot of them will sell them, a lot of them will buy them. So that creates more on our exchange, right? These are things that I think are hugely valuable, and we underestimate the synergies between them. And we have a lot of funding, guys. We could get like, for instance, Zapple on Steam. We could have bought into they only wanted 40 grand. BitShares could own all of Zapple if they wanted to, right? We could buy into EOS. We could buy into a lot of cool stuff.
You buy into Stealth and redistribute the Stealth tokens to all BTS holders, so everyone makes money from the Stealth functionality when it's released, if that's still, in the works.
I love you, man. Hell yes. These are the reasons why I tell everybody that you guys all bring value. Good points.
If I can, a couple shout outs to personal favorite BSIPs. We've got the 17th BSIP, which is Reviving Bit Assets After Global Settlement. This was by Peter Conrad and Dan Larimer. It kind of stagnated BSIP. It was around for about a year, and it didn't go really anywhere. But the next BSIP 18 is Reviving Bit Assets Through Buying the Settlement Pool. This is created by Fabian Shu. This is new. This is within the last month that it's been created, and it looks like a decent solution to the black swan problem with market pegged assets, and that if a market pegged asset black swans, you can't revive it. But if this fixes it, that's excellent, because this fear of, like, if I create a market pegged asset and it black swans, how to recover people's funds and stuff like that. So
do we know why? Yeah. Do we know why the other one stagnated? Did payment get stopped?
Well, there was no real payment attached to it, and if it was, I think it was primarily like Dan Larimer, but perhaps. Oh no, I think that was 5, not 17. I think it just stagnated because there wasn't that much interest to a certain degree, and it was quite a complex topic. The BSIP was quite large as well.
So lesson learned to keep the BSIPs short, sweet, to the point. Explain it like I'm 5.
Exactly. If it's highly theoretical and like multiple pages, a lot of people will, not be able to keep track of it, especially if they're not heavily invested in BitShares, like knowledge-wise.
So post your BSIP, take a screenshot of it, or copy and paste it to also to Steam it and BitShares Talk under the BSIPs section, and then we can upvote you to be $50 for a good BSIP.
That actually sounds quite good. Yeah, I'll do that for the interest one.
Yeah, dude, I'll do it for anybody who does this stuff as long as it's not abusing the system.
Cool. Thanks. That's everything I had to say about the BSIPs. Thanks for letting me talk, guys.
No, thank you for having everything that you want to talk about, man. You're an amazing addition. You are one of the all-stars that I always talk about, man, and I can't express it enough. You're in school as well, so good on you, man.
That was a good discussion, but it took 20 minutes. We started 10 minutes late, and it took 20 minutes. So can we move on with the agenda?
Yep.
Well, the rest of the agenda that people have brought up, the one would be from G Chicken, who posts every week the BitShares State of the Network, and we can go over some of these. I don't mind going over them, but there's also another one that I'd prefer to kind of just skip over the updates real quick and go to proposed agenda item, the hero kickoff for today from Steam Power. Stan, you're here. Do you want to talk a little bit about the hero kickoff today?
Well, I'm happy to talk a little bit about the hero. I'll let someone else talk about the kickoff. And I'm not really sure which kickoff we're talking about, whether it's the one we were talking about or someone else has a different. You tell me that?
Nope, he just says the hero kickoff today. So he's probably thinking in the same realm.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm happy to say a few words if you like.
Perfect place to do it.
Okay, well, we had a sort of a watershed event last month in Hollywood. Anybody that hasn't seen the 90-minute video, nobody likes to watch a 90-minute video, but this might be an exception because that is sort of changed everything in terms of the amount of support that we've gotten from all kinds of powerful people. We have a really first-class business development team now, and they can literally reach out and touch any celebrity in the world, and they plan to do so. I really don't have to be much in the marketing mode anymore because those guys are taking the ball and running with it. You'll start to see that kind of stuff show up happening. So, we've all kind of known that BitShares technology was way ahead and could be the number one blockchain in the world if it wasn't for the fact that we were lousy at marketing. Well, I have to say that that's no longer true. And you're going to see, the mother of all marketing campaigns coming out in the coming, it'll ramp up between now and the 4th of July. Really powerful people are taking the bull by the horns and just doing it. And so, I'm kind of at this point like somebody walking a beagle on a leash. They're out there making contacts and doing things faster than I keep track of. I finally told them last night, guys, do not involve me in everything you're doing. Just go do it, because they were queuing up just way too many people to talk to. So that just sort of gives you the idea of the scope of this. I guess part of the deal is the realization that Bitcoin and Ethereum, Bitcoin in 6 years did a more than 1,000% or 1,000 times, 3 orders of magnitude growth. So we know it can be done. And while they have a lot of people building on it and excited about it and religiously committed, they still didn't have any type of global marketing campaign behind it. Ethereum did the same thing in 2 years. They could be arguably claimed to have much better marketing, so you can see that effect. Plus, Bitcoin paved the way. I believe with our technology and our new marketing arm, that it's possible for BitShares to experience that same thing. And we didn't just stop there. We decided, let's engineer it so it does happen by getting everybody involved in this billion hero challenge. And so it sounds ludicrous on the surface to say, what, you're going to grow by 3 factors of 10 and you're going to award $1 billion? Come on. But if you watch that 90-minute video and you read what I've written about it, you see that we're deadly serious. We have the proof from Bitcoin and Ethereum that it's possible. We have better technology and better marketing. There is absolutely no reason in the world we can't achieve this. And I think it's a bit of a self-fulfilling because, it's so easy to go talk to a billionaire now and say, hey, we're giving away $1 billion. You want to be a part of it? Or to say to them. So I'm going to stop talking now and see what people want to say about it.
Well, we have gamification and the sharing economy merging with the Internet of Things that's also coming. And Hero does seem like it's in a good place, but I also will say that whenever watching that video, I think it's very important for people to watch it because if for no other reasons than to watch some of the slideshow that you guys are talking about, the differences between the technology that we're using and Bitcoin and Ethereum and even Dash, right? So you guys really took the chief competitors in the crypto space, mashed them up equally against BitShares, and showed where BitShares is at. And it's absolutely insane to see the visualization, because we can talk about it all day and we have so many times. But whenever people can see that visualization, it almost reminded me of the visualization of how much the Federal Reserve prints. And it shows like these just, it shows the size of a truck of a semi. And then it shows like numerous semis filled with the cash, essentially, like to show you how much they're printing. And those types of visualizations really can kind of connect and make a salient point that is not forgotten and kind of captures what we would otherwise have to say, and maybe a whole article. And that was really, I think, one of the best parts of it to me. I can see why people would say, it comes across as an infomercial and stuff because it's an info commercial, which it's kind of an infomercial, right? But man, I loved it. I would urge people to see it. That's my point. Does anybody else have any thoughts on Hero? Would you like to, anybody who's holding Hero want to say anything or ask Stan a question before we move on?
I like the Avant-Garde magazine feature. That's quite cool.
Yes, agreed.
And then Fav came out with this link that I just posted that says how to join. So it's a great how-to article, really detailed and hugely helpful. And I want to thank for that.
Good deal. Yeah, everybody consider going and checking out. It's under the BitShares tag on Steemit, or under the user Ash, spelled ASH, and you can find how to join the Hero Challenge as a leader and participant. I would urge everybody to consider looking it over. Anybody else have any input that they would like to give before we move on?
I just have a quick comment. I had a family member that wanted me to buy or give him guidance on which coins to buy, and of course BitShares was on my list, so I tried to explain to him. I says, they have this new thing called Hero now that you got to find out about, and I swear I spent at least maybe 15 solid minutes trying to Google BitShares space Hero on and I couldn't come up with anything related to what I've seen before with Stan. And it's very frustrating that Google isn't cooperating yet. So if this thing seems like it's starting off really slowly, it's just because we're not organically listed yet in Google.
Well, one thing that I will say that is powerful about the Steam tool that we have is it helps us substantially if we get views and people participating in various articles for rankings on Google. So if you type in Google stuff, like Steam is starting to really become a pretty solid tool for us on that front.
So if we have a Twitter account, a Facebook page, a Steemit account, we should all be talking about this in one way or another, and that will help let Google realize, hey, there's an important topic here, and they're all linking to this particular site.
Agreed.
It seems kind of funny to me that we don't see more activity and see more listings of what took place last month on Google, given that it was such a big event. It makes me wonder whether or not there's a blacklisting or a manipulation going on there.
You could, check on the other search engines. With regards to search engine optimization and Steam, I personally used the Glasnost library to try and boost my own search engine optimization. Like each article, I would get, automatically create every single possible meta tag you could do, so that when Google indexed that page, it would potentially list it up in the Google News. I think trying to adhere to Google's, like, I think it's AMP formatting, might actually put our personal Steemit posts into, like, the Google News, Google Finance kind of feeds more frequently. So that could be a way to boost Hero's appearance in Google.
Marketers should be all over that. So, I mean, I would think that they're using their search engine optimization tools already for whatever they're putting out there. Maybe they're not putting out there as much as I was presuming they are.
Does one have to announce in advance that he's putting together a team to enter this contest, or just go ahead and do it and let it be known later on?
Yeah, you don't have to announce anything, although it might be in your best interest to recruit people to your team. But, after it gets rolling a little bit, we'll have software that automatically publishes who's leading, and it'll just sort of show up, and we'll be talking about it. And this is decentralized. We are going out and trying to recruit some big names to prime the pump, but those big names understand that they might be overtaken by somebody completely out of the blue, and the whole totem pole reshuffles up until the award. So the leader is changed completely as more people find out about it.
The other thing that's worth noting is that we're on a very short fuse on this too, because if this is going to really happen in a big way on the 4th of July, that's like 3 weeks away. So we've got a very short fuse, all the things that are going to happen between now and then.
Well, it certainly is true. Now, keep in mind, the 4th of July is when the prize gets put in the bucket and locked down. And, we got people working to build it to, more and more publicity and stuff about it. But this is the kind of thing that will grow exponentially over the coming months and summer. So while we're going to be, lighting bushfires everywhere, my expectation is that they will rage out of control, and it won't take very long before we could sit back and not do anything, and it'll have a life of its own.
So one way to get started is just creating some heroes, right?
Yeah, that's one of the things that we'll be doing, is ramping up the number of heroes that are available, and other people can certainly do that. And if you're chicken, you can just own BitShares. Ultimately, if you put $1,000 in BitShares account somewhere, and we succeed in growing our prize next, you're going to grow your $1,000 by 1,000x. So
did you just say if you're a chicken?
No pun intended.
Well, thank you very much, Stan. And we could talk about this all day. Obviously, maybe we should start setting aside 2 hours for Hangouts. I don't care.
There's an important URL I would just like Stan to echo again. It was in the magazine article, and unfortunately, a lot of people haven't read the Avanti Garde magazine article, which is unfortunate because you can get a free online copy. But there's a website that I struck in that article that was amazing for heroes, and that's the one I was looking for on Google, and I can't find it again.
Are you talking about sovereignhero.com?
I think that's the one. I couldn't remember what the URL was, and I couldn't find it on Google. So that's the one I'd love to find again. Yes.
Yeah, that particular website is where it was built in a hurry by a bunch of guys who just volunteered and got it done. And so it was aimed originally to give just information to investor types who might be interested in funding some of the companies we want to incubate. But we're going to completely redo that with a professional team and target it to the consumer level. So that whole website's going to change. What you see there now will be available somewhere by a secondary link. But you're going to see that turn into something more than just a quick dump of information. But right now, that's where you get everything that you need to know about it.
It's the one that gave me goosebumps. And so, yeah, if there's going to be a second version of that, I don't know if you have a cure for something beyond goosebumps.
Well, that's good feedback. Thanks.
Yeah, chicken bumps, Ken Code says. You never know, man. You never know these days. What they're doing in these different lab facilities around the world, God knows. But anyway, thank you, everybody, for bringing this subject up. We do have something that people are messaging me about that we will get to here very shortly. But I did want to bring up one more.
A lot of dead air here, guys.
Hey, Rodrigo, why don't you just start talking?
Yeah, go ahead and use that space.
Okay, so I got 15 minutes, right?
Hopefully.
Can you guys hear me well?
Yeah,
I can hear fine.
Okay, perfect. So guys, hi, how are you? I hope everyone is doing fine. Just for you to know, my name is Rodrigo Crespo. I was one of the co-founders of BitShares Munich and BlockPay. I have my team here, who is composed of Martin Bickman, Angelica Villarreal, who is in Mexico, here with me. Martin is in Finland, and Miguel is in Colombia. They were part of the country managers program that I was the one creating. And I will say some steps here that I have, so that you can guys understand the whole picture. If you guys have questions, please just fire and just let me know if you have questions. I just want you guys to let you know, since the beginning, I partnered up with Christoph and Ken since the beginning, when everything started approximately 2 years ago. And everything started when Ken started creating BlockPay and the SmartCoins wallet and everything. Just for you to know, I was the guy behind the scenes in everything that was to do on global operations for BitShares Munich and BlockPay. So I was the one creating the ambassadors program and the country managers program. And all the marketing, the global marketing of BlockPay came from me and the whole teams that I had in Munich and worldwide. And the problem started that when Konstantin, this investor, he met Christoph in Amsterdam in a meeting in Bitcoin, and Christoph brought him to Munich, to our offices in BitShares. And just for you to know, this is not the fault of Konstantin. This has to be clear. This is when somebody tells you to kill a person, and you do kill that person, the responsibility goes to you, not to the person who told you. So he has actually no. He's not the problem, right? The problem was from Christoph that believed in him, that he started buying all his ideas, and this is where Christoph started like stabbing out his business partners, that it was me and Ken. And of course, just for you to know, all salaries for Ken, he needs to be still paid 2 months' salary. I think the third one is almost coming, and that's why the development stopped. The API stopped. BlockPay has not continued because BlockPay was going to come with a new UI, and the SmartCoins wallet was going to come with a new UI, especially with the white label wallets for the clients that we have. And of course, just for you to know, I was the one coming to Mexico because I am from Honduras, so I know very good the Latin American market, and as you know, is booming on the digital currency part, and the Dash is very big here in Mexico, and as you know, we partner up with Dash. So all the partnerships that you saw on BlockPay, Facebook, Twitter, Steemit, all of this was coming actually from me and my team. I was the guy behind it. So I was the one contacting all our clients and all our partners, because as you know, this industry, the digital currency industry, it's practically growing very, very fast. And one of the best ways to grow it is to partner up with other companies to join your marketing efforts, so that you can get the ball rolling much more faster. So that's what we did. And as you know, BlockPay now, it took us like 6 months, 7 months, and it was completely a big brand around the world. And I can tell you that it's practically almost in every corner, and people are writing us in Discord channels everywhere we can install BlockPay. As just for you to know, we had approximately 45 to 50 big clients worldwide in Latin America, Europe, Asia, Israel, everywhere that wanted to use our solutions. As BitShares Munich, you know, we built a digital economy. And we got over to 350 clients. I don't know any other digital currency company or in this industry that has that potential. And we were actually bigger on that than BitPay. We had a bigger sales team, and we had a great marketing team. And I think that if BlockPay wouldn't have stopped, we would have actually crashed completely BitPay, that is our competition. One of the biggest problems was that in Mexico, one of the biggest problems in this industry is that there's no on and off ramps. That's the biggest problem. And of course, BlockPay is a POS that accepts all digital currencies at zero cost. But what happens when the merchant gets these digital currencies, they want to cash them out. So we decided that I would come to Mexico and create to create an exchange, a money transmitter and exchange, because as you know, a banking license in Europe, it's approximately a 1.5 to up to 5 million euros, plus you need a $1 million collateral in the bank to actually operate it. So it's pretty expensive. So that's why we decided to come to Mexico, to Monterrey, which is a great part to start with digital currencies, because we have big communities around here that I know personally, because I was the one attending and actually promoting BlockPay all over Mexico and Latin America. So what we were going to do is that we were going to create this exchange here, especially too for the BitShares community, for the BitShares blockchain, because we actually need one. So the on and off ramp, it's a big problem, especially for the clients that wanted to use our Smart Coins wallet, our white label wallet, to transfer funds, digital funds from point A to point B, because they didn't know how to settle this money into their bank account. So as you can see, we were actually creating a huge monster that was BitShares Munich, that we were going to have products, but at the same time have our own exchange to actually make all these settlements to all our clients. So this was why I came here to Mexico, and my business partner is just here. She's just going to jump in a few seconds. And of course, as you know, we had the offices here. We paid for legal services here to get our licenses, AML and KYC licenses. We got our money transmitter licenses, and we got at the same time our exchange license that has an approximate cost of 150,000 US dollars. Compared to Europe and the US, it's absolutely ridiculously cheap. So that's what we do. We open offices and we hired a 6 people team specialized on marketing and business development. I was the one training them personally with my business partner. And of course, as you know, I'm the guy who's is building the products, and I'm putting them out there in the market through my network that I have. And of course, there was one day happened, and I called Chris and I told him, you know what, I want to quit my position and I don't want to work with you any longer. You have ruined all the things that Ken Code has done and that I have done, and all the effort that all the country managers, ambassadors, and all the people that were involved in BitShares Munich and BlockPay did. It was actually a lost effort. So we lost a very, very big momentum. I am not saying that BlockPay cannot continue. It can continue. And he started cutting out salaries to everyone, to me, so I could actually not operate. We have 6 people that are completely unemployed here in Mexico. Lawyers have not been paid. Offices have not been paid, and people are waiting for the liquidations. I cannot pay them because that is the responsibility of Christoph, who is the CEO and CFO, Chief Financial Officer, on managing all type of administrative issues with payrolls and absolutely everything. So if you ask me, yes, can Code continue building BlockPay? No. Can we continue with our API? No. Can we continue with BlockPay e-commerce? No. Can we continue serving the whole client portfolio that we have with our white label wallets? No, we can't. Why? Because we don't know what happened to the funds. And of course, the one who's managing the funds is the CEO. It's not me, it is not Ken Code, it is no one else in the company who's managing these funds. As for you to know, we don't know what happened to the funds. Actually, the first post that Ken did, it went on Steemit, and as he said, he doesn't know where the funds are. Our wallets are completely empty. We don't know where these funds went. So I can tell you something, that completely BitShares Munich, BlockPay are completely stopped worldwide. There's actually no operations on it. What will be needed to continue with BlockPay? First of all, that would be my opinion as a co-founder that I was, and that I was managing all the people worldwide, and Ken was the one making all the products. First of all, we need a new CEO in the company. We need Christoph to step down and actually go away from the company and quit the company or whatever he wants to do. But he needs to pass completely everything to Ken Code so that we can continue our operations and pay everything that the company owns. In that way, we can continue building our practically is already done. We're just waiting for the payments to be done. Then actually the BitShares blockchain would have its own exchange. BitShares Munich will have its own on and off ramp exchange to settle in bank accounts that our clients need, not just in Mexico, but we have our license that permits us to settle all over Latin America, Canada, and the US. So that is something that it was great, and that we continue doing it. I'm going to stop in that part. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to let my business partner enter because she's Mexican. She has been Miguel, Martin, and Angelica. They both, the three of them, they met Ken Code in the block show in Munich. If you remember, it was just some months ago that everything was fine, but apparently I don't know what happened to Christoph. I don't know what he's trying to do. What I can tell you another information is that all the girls that were part of my team, they are not any longer permitted in the offices where Christoph is, and I don't know who else is. On all the comments, that just for you to know that we're on Steemit, that Fabian and Xerox were not on Munich. That's absolutely a lie, because I once had a conversation with Fabian and Christoph, and they were working together. And of course, they're working together to do I don't know what. Don't ask me if he's helping them in I don't know what. But I can tell you that these guys are working together. We don't know what they're doing. Yeah, we don't know exactly what they're doing, but what I can tell you is that the funds that all the people that believed in us are gone. And we, of course, need to fight back to get our funds back so that we can continue building. And that's what Ken wants to do. That's what I want to do. That's what all the people want to do. And we want to continue doing it. And just for you to know, I am here to answer all the questions that you want. I'm not hiding. Ken is not hiding. We're here. My team is here. We're not hiding from everything because it is not our fault in what it's happening. Maybe Angie, you want to jump in and you can continue the conversation. Thanks a lot.
Hi there. Thanks, Rodrigo, for the little introduction. It's actually quite interesting because I thought Chris will be here today. I knew that he used to attend, or he attends this weekly reunion, so I thought interesting to finally get the chance to talk to him, to talk with him, since we had lost connection from the past few weeks. Well, I can see I'm not from the tech part. I'm just from the business side, from the marketing side. As Rodrigo mentioned, we were trying to do some pretty interesting things here in Mexico with some other partnerships, people, clients, employees, and stuff. So now it's pretty funny and actually kind of unbelievable how things came up. I was there in Munich 2 months ago for the blog show, and I reunited myself with my team from different countries, people from a lot of different places. We had such a great time together. I got the chance to meet Chris and Ken personally, and part of my story, just to be very short in this, is that I started working with BitShares Munich and BlockPay since August 16, so almost 1 year ago. And I joined as an ambassador for this program that they used to have, where they invited our people to start working with them, get clients worldwide and stuff. So I got pretty interested in this kind of stuff, and then with time, I was evolving and started to growing up a little bit into the company. I started working with all of them, with Rodrigo, Crespo, with Ken as well, and with Chris since August. Then I started to get some clients and kind of open the market here in Mexico, so that the company would grow. That was the point, the goal at the end of the day. So it's kind of funny how things came out at the end, because since August we started working pretty awesome. We used to have weekly chats, weekly calls from all country managers worldwide. I can say, for example, from people from Serbia, from Finland, from Australia, from USA, So it was quite a cool team. We were trying to build up some strategies as well for the company. I have to say at the beginning, since I wasn't into any of this kind of crypto world and digital currency world, I was trying to like getting involved into that. So at the beginning, I wasn't even getting paid, for example, because I wanted to obviously enter to this and start knowing the business. So with time, I got kind of like a salary, a payment for being an ambassador, and trying to like fill or fulfill some tasks that I had to do here in Mexico. So yeah, with time we started working and setting everything up. So this year in 2017, well, Chris and the other shareholders of the company took the decision to come to Mexico, and they said, okay, we're going to go and open up offices there and build a team and make some companies, a group of companies there, so we can grow our markets and stuff. So yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, cool. I mean, come to Mexico, we can do some pretty good stuff in here, and so on. And then we started working since March, April, and May, and then something pretty weird happened. I knew that there were some new people there in the company, some new investors and people. I don't know them. I just know one personally. So yeah, at the end of the day, everything started to change. One thing that was pretty interesting was that I always thought that this like the environment that surrounds this kind of industries, like there's a lot of fraud, there's a lot of I don't know, whatever, and because of the experiences and everything that has happened. And I always had in mind like, okay, this is not the case. I mean, this is a trustworthy company, this is a good one, and so on. And that thing that I feared the most just happened here. And I was the one being here in Mexico, for example, because of all of the responsibilities that I had. Me as being Mexican, I had to put myself on the line because of all the things that we were trying to build here and so on. So yeah, this is kind of, well, part of my story. I just wanted to share with you guys. I don't have any specific goal, but I do wanted to let this thing know, just for you to know and to like be careful because of the things that you're doing there and everything and everywhere, you know. So this is kind of funny. I thought Chris will be here today because he blocked me and he erased me from every media possible. And I did wanted to get the chance to talk to him. Like, okay, can we talk? Can we settle everything and just like close everything here in Mexico because you have some pending bills to pay. And I have everything, the proofs, the lawyers, partnerships. People is like, what did just happen? I mean, we were working yesterday and now 3 weeks later, this guy disappears. He doesn't want to talk. He erased everyone from his WhatsApp and Skype and everything. He blocks people out. So yeah, this was quite funny and interesting. So this is kind of like what I wanted to share with you guys. If you have some information, if you know something, if you need something from our side, I think I can be helpful in this side. So this was just part of my story that I wanted to share with you because I think it's important. I see that you guys are a team. You're building things up. You are kind of a group of people. You're a community. So this is important. Trust is always important. So this is kind of like what I wanted to share with you.
I will thank you guys for coming on and talking about it. It's like I always say, you know, our community has gone through ups and downs the entire way. And I've always said to the people in this community that if we should reward those and help those who are the roots to our tree, because the ones who help us weather the storm are the ones that are going to help us grow strongest. So it's important that we realize on one side that this stuff does happen in this space. We call it the wild, wild west during the Beyond Bitcoin Hangouts for a reason, because that's quite literally what it is. And there's no shortage of people out there who will hurt other people for a short-term gain. So trust is extremely valuable. I can say and verify that Chris has not been reaching out to me since I reached out to him last week. I am trying to remain neutral in this. There we go. Got to mute you, crapper. I'm trying to remain neutral on this, but at the same time, I told him just because I need to remain neutral on this, that it would be best if we just run the community hangouts as a community instead of with Christoph, Herring, and Fuzzy, that type of thing. So he hasn't responded back to me whatsoever. So I don't know what's going on his end, but I would say that I would love if things could get fixed and everybody can be in a good place, because to me it's silly to harm somebody or to harm this movement short term for a gain that actually will be a lot less in the future than if you just stick with it and bust your butt. Perfect example is Tom, do you remember the guy? What was his name? Who you ran the delegate with? Who got 100K and for building up a gold and silver gateway and then left with it? And if you would,
Yeah, it was Genso was his moniker, and
Yeah,
it wasn't it wasn't 100K, it was 50K as I recall.
Okay.
But at any rate, it was a huge sum of money, and he did abscond with it, and I don't believe that those funds were ever recovered. And so, we need to be smart business-wise, and from what I can see of the BitShares Munich thing, Ken was very smart. He still retains the majority ownership of the company, but he made a mistake in turning over financial control to Chris, and Chris has been influenced by an outside party who is doing some bad things. I mean, not the outside party, just like Rudd opened this with his discussion. It's not the outside party's problem. He just was the influencer. It was Chris that made the decisions, that did the actions that are harming this community, and that's where I think things need to be focused, is on Chris. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'll just say this. The point that I was trying to get to is the short-term gain that Genso got was 50,000. If he would have stuck with our community for the next couple years, where would he be today? Right? I want people who are listening to this, who think that way, if they are listening to this, to realize that. It's very important that you realize this, because if we're trying to change things in this world, we need to kind of act a little bit differently than what's created the problems. But with that said, we are at about 1 hour, a little bit over an hour, and I don't mind that because it's important topic, and it's something that we will get through, and I appreciate all of you guys who are helping out. I appreciate Once Upon a Time. I will still give you a love tap. Why the hell did you put your own money in there? Okay, we can give about 5 minutes to Martin to talk?
Yes.
My apologies.
Channel. All right, thank you guys. Hey, I would like to say hi to everyone. My name is, I'm from Finland, and I was actually almost a year ago the first time in Germany. I met Chris back then. I also met Ken, and since then I've been there a couple of times. Well, like Angie said, we were there the whole thing for the talk show a couple months ago, and now there's everything just stopped. But it's astonishing, to say the least, and I would have never expected something like this from Chris, because he seemed like a nice guy, but there doesn't seem to be any other explanation than just to come to the conclusion that Chris is gone with the money, and that is basically the whole problem in itself. And I would not blame Konstantin, neither Ken or Chris, Ken or Rodrigo, because I mean, Ken and Rodrigo both have been excellent, and I enjoyed working with them, and I hope we can continue with the project, because I see a lot of potential, maybe not in the Nordics that much, but there's some potential customers here as well. So I hope we get BlockPay up and running. But yeah, thank you everyone.
Maybe Miguel, you want to say something?
Hey everybody, how you doing? My name is Miguel. I'm in Colombia. I've joined the ambassadors program through the opportunity that Rodrigo gave me about a year ago in August, and we definitely saw that the Latin American continent has a lot of potential to get ahead with all of these innovative ideas. But it's sad to see that all the effort that we've been putting into the project for the past year is just being flushed down the toilet like this, you know. Maybe like personally, me as an ambassador, I never had a salary. I just had a budget to cover my expenses, which basically were it was a budget for me to go to business meetings, to travel from city to city, cover gas expenses, lodging or whatever. But I actually just invested my time. You know, I invested lots of time into this because I was a true believer that there was a lot of potential to this. So it's kind of sad now that you know we're stuck in like a black hole now, and it's just, you know, it's crappy. But I'm still a believer of this. I'm supporting Rodrigo, I'm supporting Ken. I'm still, even though I haven't had any budget for the past 3 months, I still been going to business meetings coming out of my own pocket. You know, I'm still traveling, I'm still speaking to people about BitShares, and I'm still speaking to people about the potential that we have with these products. So, you know, I just think it was important for us to get on here on the Hangout and let people know, you know, that there's different sides of the story that need to be heard as well. And Ken, I got the opportunity to meet Ken, and to be honest, when the post first started with all this situation, people need to have benefit of the doubt, you know. So I was very, you know, biased on what everything was being said, and now, you know, people start showing their true colors. So, you know, it's a shame, and I just hope, you know, that things could get cleared up, and definitely, you know, Ken and Rodrigo have been, you know, trying to do the best to keep ahead with this. And like I told Rodrigo, you know, I'm here to support him, and also Ken, now that you're listening to me as well, you know, you have all my support as well. So I hope you know, we could get ahead out of this, and you know, there's always light after the rain. So I'm just want to thank everybody for the space that they're giving us to explain what's going on. And you know, there's a lot of potential. You know, BitShares has started to ring a bell in Latin America, and you know, there's very big potential clients. And I think, you know, we just can't throw everything away, the situation that's happening. So if we have to start from scratch once again, then, you know, let's do it.
I'd like to add that to remain neutral in the face of naked aggression is pretty well moral turpitude, guys.
So, excuse me?
I'd like to say that to remain neutral in the face of naked aggression and a hostile takeover is moral turpitude.
Well, I'll say this. I
think it's just pure responsibility. Somebody has to be able to get this all out. You can't just automatically swing one side or the other side when things are still unfounded and we don't know where it's going.
There's more and more evidence that is leaning in the direction of what I've feared. I hate to say that, and I'm not, I'm not somebody who is well versed in terms of, you know, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a prosecutor in any way, shape, or form. So I'm not probably the best person to say this, but it does, as somebody who's put a hell of a lot into this community, it frustrates me and makes me a little bit sad. I'm not gonna lie, because, you know, there's a lot more that we can do when we do things together, and some people just have a hard time with that, I guess.
We've heard an awful lot more from Ken Code and now all these people from Latin America and places around the world. That is evidence, strong evidence to show. And we've heard from Ken Code himself last week about how the tactics of Chris have taken his house away, how he's not been able to feed his, you know, no salary for 2 months. I mean, this is clearly hostile intentions. There's enough evidence here, guys. You just need to be able to to see this and move forward and make your decisions based on the evidence that's been presented. How much evidence has Chris presented? He's only presented accusations, nothing of substance.
Yep.
There's enough evidence to remove Chris from all positions of power, or at least suspend him from all positions of power within BitShares. No committee, no...
I agree. I hate to say it, but I agree. I feel exactly where you feel on this one, buddy. Something for us to all consider.
We've got to move forward and oust this cancer that's within our fold. I'm afraid.
It's okay.
Guys, and just trust me. Since we met with Ken, trust me that I worked more than 50 hours when I was in Munich on the company, and I'm stopped. There's nothing going on, and trust me that as Ken said, what Angie and all the teams really want to do is to continue working. That's what we do, and we do it the best we can. And as I was saying, I am here to say my story. I was not here before because, as you know, we have a mess here that I was trying to fix legally, and now it has come to a stop, but we still have to pay those bills, and now authorities are coming against us because of what Chris is doing. There's people being unpaid, a lot of people being unpaid, so everything it's coming to us because of Chris. And what we want to do, and that's why we came to the community, is that we want to continue working. I'm still a true believer of BlockPay because I was even the one creating the name of BlockPay. I was the one putting BlockPay out there with all the teams and with Angie and all these people. So we want to continue doing it. So it actually doesn't make sense to get to this point. And as once upon a time said, really the only way to move forward in here is for him to get out of the company. Ken and I should appoint a new CEO that we can actually trust, and he should be the one managing the money, and then we two guys or him needs to manage this money so that he can continue building, and we can continue our global operations as normal. But as you know, we had to bring this to the community, and I'm not afraid because I have nothing to hide. I am here, and you can ask me all the questions that you need. I'm gonna post my Skype later, so if anyone wants to write me, they can write me about questions. If everybody wants to talk to me personally, you can do it right away. I have nothing to hide, so anything that you guys need, we can give you evidence, we can talk personally, whatever you need, please come to us. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, well, thank you very much. I will say this, I'll say the same thing to all of you that I said last week with Ken. All of us as a community, we have tools now that we didn't have before, right? And I will say that I remember in the earliest days of Steam, Ken Code and BlockPay and Chris were posting a lot of things. A lot of the ambassadors were posting things, and they got upvoted pretty decently from the community. And they got to log a lot of their own work on a blockchain in addition to getting paid, which just seems like it makes sense for us, right? And that was kind of why we decided to create something called whale shares. And if you guys are a whale here, I urge you guys to consider making your own token when we open it up. But for now, I can give you guys whale shares tokens and stuff to post the stuff that you're already posting to social media to have upvotes from a whale account. I can pay out about, I've done the calculations. At current market cap, it's dropped a little bit. So it's around 250K a year just with one of the tokens. And I haven't even unlocked the Fuzzy Vest token yet. So I want to urge you guys to remember that we can create BitShares tokens that are used to get upvotes on the Steam chain from doing all the stuff that you guys are already doing and give you guys an extra income. It's a tool that I can use. I never have to power it down. So it's going to stay there as long as Steam stays at a decent valuation. And I can continue distributing to you guys. And I would love to help in any way, shape, or form that I can with that, because I think it's a smart way for you guys to get a little bit of money, put all this information and all the stuff you're doing on the blockchain at the same time. So I'll give you guys the Whale Shares Discord. Anybody who wants to join up, feel free to join up, and make sure that you guys consider coming back every week to kind of give updates. Trust is very important, and the people who earn the trust, who prove it over time, are going to be they're going to be in a place where money isn't the most important thing. The sense of what we've accomplished is a huge thing in itself. So thank you guys for joining up every week. Thank you for being part of archiving this history, the good, the bad, the difficulties and the triumphs. So because we have all of them here. This is part of our story.
Hey, just for you to know, just a quick question that everybody's asking, and I would like to 1 minute in that is what's happening to the BlockPay token. My suggestions, guys, is that don't sell the BlockPay token, because we're gonna try our best to continue with Ken Code and all the global teams to continue operating BitShares Munich. We will have updates by next week or 2 weeks from now, but I wouldn't suggest you still sell it. Don't sell, maintain it, because we will try to gain control and continue with the company as normal, you know?
I haven't sold mine, buddy. So thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you.